Okay, this is how I killed my sister's dog. Now, I have to put like an addition on the front of this. You have to understand my sister. My sister loves animals. She went to school to be a veterinarian technician. She works, she's worked for numerous vets, special animals. She has worked for private zoos. She's worked for Burnett Park Zoo over in Syracuse. She has worked with, you know, wolves, muntjac deer, elephants. I mean, just any number of animals she has either owned or personally taken care of. White tigers, chimpanzees, I mean everything. And her personal collection of animals right now, I mean, she has cats, dogs. She's owned almost everything. Right now she has giant turtles. So you have to understand that the dog in question was her favorite animal ever. She rescued it. It was a bulldog, and its name was Maude. And to this day, my sister has a framed picture of Maude, which she keeps in her house, because it was the most loving animal she ever knew in her entire life, that I killed. So we have to go back a number of years. Maude, of course, being a bulldog, the thing you need to know about bulldogs is they're an unnatural animal. They are bred. And part of their breeding, for some reason, humans found it adorable to make an animal with too big of organs and tongues and eyeballs and all sorts of things squashed into this little body. That's why they look the way they do. Because, you know, they got this massive tongue and mouth and assembly of organs and ears, and it's smashed in this little itty bitty skull, so they look like they're about to burst at any time anyway. And because all those organs don't fit in there properly, the animal usually has all sorts of health problems that kind of go through its life. And Maude was suffering from all of these. Of course, she was still a very happy dog. One of the things about a dog like that is, because nothing fits quite right, as it breathes with its little chest trying to push out and up, it'll and if anyone has a bulldog, they'll attest to this, as it walks across a floor, it's going to like snort and as it walks around. And then the second part is, because the back end of it kind of is the same problem, it'll kind of fart every little bit as it's moving across. So it's this little farty, snorty little dog that's coming across the room, and just as lovable as can be. And I don't know if it was named after B. Arthur as Maude, but B. Arthur was Kim Kardashian next to this dog. Because this dog originally had problems with the back of its head, where it had these benign tumors that had to be removed, so it had these big scars in the back of its head where my sister was, you know, it scared little children. And she would say, you know, well, that's where they took the horn off of it when they came out of hell. The dog was just, but it was so loving. It cuddle up next to you, know, and come up next to you on the couch, and it was just an enjoyable little animal. And it started getting sick. My sister, of course, worked for a veterinarian, so she took Maude in, and he looked at Maude, and they had to go in and do some surgeries. So, and he said I had to remove a lot of Maude's liver and had to move some stuff around in there because Maude's just really sick. So Maude came back home. She was a little quieter than normal. It wasn't quite the, you know, it's still doing it, but just not as much. And we were trying to take care of Maude. Well, Betsy was most worried about Maude's heart. And she said, I got her on the medicine, but you got to take her out for walks every day. I was living with my sister. I just moved back from Texas, and I didn't have a job up here, so I was staying with my sister. And I said, sure, I'll take care of her. And she said, look, do not let her run around when she gets outside. She's going to want to, but just keep her on the leash and don't let her run around because, you know, her heart's bad. I said, sure, no problem. It's a little dog. I can take care of this. So Maude wanted to go out, and I was like, okay, well, let's go to the park. Beautiful spring day. I don't know if you've ever been to Onondaga Lake Park over in Syracuse. It's right on the top of the lake there. It's beautiful. They have lights on the lake during the holidays. It's a picturesque park. So lovely. And it's where I took Maude. So everybody's out. You know, this is back in the days. People are rollerblading, and, you know, they brought the kids out, and everybody's, you know, going around, and I get out, you know, this monstrous bulldog, you know, and put the leash on her and stuff. And of course, she was kind of a, you know, some people were attracted to her and others were repelled. Generally, they weren't the girls I wanted to be attracted to it would come. But, you know, again, it was a nice dog. And what happened was I put the leash on her, and she started to run. And, of course, I'm trying to hold her back. I'm like, Mom, don't run. You got to calm down. And I was like, you know, I'd set her down. I'd pet her a little bit. And we'd start walking again. I'm like, oh, you're doing pretty good. Okay. And then she'd sit down. We'd rest. And, you know, I was thinking I was doing pretty good. So then we get out there, and, of course, she sees a squirrel. And you know how dogs are with that shit going on. They're just like, oh, wow, squirrel, squirrel. And she's like going crazy. And I'm like, oh, no, Maude, calm down. And she's starting to run. She runs off the path. Starts running, you know, over by trees and stuff. And I'm like, because we had one of those extendable leash things where the dog can actually pull out. And I'm trying to hold her back with this thing, but it keeps loosening and stuff. So I'm like, Maude, and she's bolting, and then she's pushing against me, and then it's like, you know, she'd get a little slack, and then she'd start running again, and then I'd be like, Maude, you gotta calm down. And trying to get her back to me. And she starts running, and we're out towards the water, and I'm like, Maude, you got to calm down. And then I see her run. She runs. She gets a couple of gallops. Big breath. 2 steps. Maude, are you okay? 2 more steps. And over on her side. And I run up, and I'm like, Maude, get down on my hands and knees. I'm like, Maude, how are you doing? I'm petting her. I'm like, Maude, everything okay? And she's like, you know, kind of, and then a big, and that was the end of Maude. Maude's problem had ended. Mine just began. Because all those fleshy parts of her body that were being held in by some type of willpower, when she went, they went with her. So you got to figure everything in this dog, like this giant tongue just is hanging out there and turning purple. And I don't know if you ever heard this, but everything inside the dog suddenly comes outside of the dog. So she's like letting out on both ends. Nasty. Nasty. Terrible. And I'm like, I got to get this dog back to the car. Suitcase. I didn't have a suitcase. Terrible. But here was the big problem. The big problem wasn't necessarily me in the car. It was the playground full of children that was sitting between me and my car right now, because we had gone around this on our little trek, which really wasn't that far. And of course, I'm sitting there going, you know, all I could see is the bubble of my sister above my head saying, you know, don't let her run too far, because she's not well. And you know, I love this dog. You know, all these little things going off in my brain, and I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta get this dog out of here. So I decide, you know, I could have just wrapped her. I had a little jacket with me. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, you know, first off, I didn't want to scare the kids with a dead dog. You know, so I'm sitting there petting her like she's still alive. And then I decide, okay, I'm going to pick her up. Which I don't know if you ever tried to pick up something that's not living anymore. It's that whole dead weight thing. It's a real true thing. That it's very hard because she's sloshing around and stuff, and then the tongue's hanging out. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I got her now where she kind of looks like she's alive and she's asleep. So let's walk the dog over to the car. So I have her like this, because it's the only way you can hold her. She's a good 60 pounds. And I'm trying to juggle her like this. And it's a good walk. And I'm walking over, and I'm walking over, and I'm like, this is really tiring. I gotta put this down. So I'm sitting there trying to put it down in front of and the kids are all playing around. Meanwhile, there's, you know, this, and I mean, the face of this thing, as bad as she looked alive, bad stuff. So I put her down, and it's like, you know, and I'm petting her and stuff like that. She's just sleeping. This tired dog here. Come on, hon, we're gonna get you home. My biggest fear at that point was some really hot girl was going to come over. Oh, what an adorable dog. Yeah, it's dead. So, you know, and then there's that part of me that is thinking of this moment where I get to tell the story and I start laughing to myself out loud. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening to me, because I got to put this dog down again. It's too heavy. So finally I pick her back up, and you know, by then it's like, you know, I'm like, oh, I gotta get something. Of course, I had to set her down in the parking lot so I can get something, because I didn't want her to make a mess all over my car. So I'm getting old floor mats out of the back and newspapers and crap and making her a little bed while she's laying there, you know, and of course she starts to roll over on her back while she's sitting there. So, you know, by then it was just, get her in there. Got her in the car, covered her up, drove away. Vowed never to return to that park again because I figured I'd be walking there and somebody would say, "You're that guy who was hauling around the dead dog the other day, weren't you?" Yeah, that was me. So I drove to the vet practice where my sister worked, very convenient. I didn't have to find someplace to get rid of the dog. She worked there. So I drove over. I had to go in. I had to talk to Dr. Ed. I'm like, "Can I talk to Dr. Ed?" "Why, Doug? What's wrong?" "I just don't tell Betsy. Just let me talk to Dr. Ed." He came out and I said, "Ed, Maude's dead. She's in the front of my car." And he goes, "Don't worry, I got somebody who will take care of this. I'll tell your sister. You can just go." "Thanks, Ed." And the whole time I'm sick in my stomach. I'm just like, oh God, she's going to be so mad. She's going to be like, "Why did you take it out for a while? Why did you do all this?" Well, Ed did the right thing. He took her out and got her drunk after telling her. So she had her good upset thing with Maude. Now, of course, again, this was on the books. This was going to happen. She knew it was, you know, after the operation that Maude only had so long. So, and Maude's last hours were very pleasant, going to the park. And, you know, so Maude wasn't terribly bad off from this. It was mostly my sister. She went out and got drunk. I, of course, stayed home. I watched a movie. I was like, "Oh, she's not home yet, so I'm going to bed." Woke up the next morning, came downstairs. My sister got up a little while later. She didn't say anything to me when she comes down. She just goes in the kitchen and starts making something. She just comes back in and I said, "Look, I'm really sorry about Maude." She says, "Just stay away from my cats." So she goes back in the kitchen and I just came in and was like, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." And that's the story of Maude.
Thank you, guys.